So it's my 12th day in Colombia. It's the last day, unfortunately. We just finished cupping 32 samples, mostly from Huila and two samples from Cauca. In general, the coffees are, I mean, very good here. I like fruity coffees, and if you like fruity coffees, you can definitely find that in Colombia. The thing is, the coffees from the north are extremely different from the south, so if you're more into chocolatey, nutty coffees, you can go north to Sierra Nevada, where we were in the beginning of the trip, and find very sweet, low acidity, very nice coffees. If you want more citric, floral, go to Nariño. You will find spectacular coffees, and not only the coffees, but also the scenery and the view and the nature is absolutely amazing. For more intense winey coffees, go to Huila, Cauca, Quindío. So it's really a diverse country with very much diversity in the coffees. This is a little strange because they're more or less growing the same varietals here. Castillo, Caturra, some Típica, Colombia, but still you find a lot of different flavors. And I don't think it's just the varietal who does it, it's because of the farmer, of course, how he treats the plantation, how he processes the coffee, the soil, the climate, extremely different. Only in Huila you have some areas where they have Mitaca in June. Mitaca means their small harvest, and in other areas they will have their main harvest in June. So it's very different in a very small area. I think the highlights of the trip, first day was great to meet all the baristas here, to see how inspired they are from the WBC. Was here in July or June, to see that they're practicing a lot for their national competition, which will happen this weekend. Nabusimake in Sierra Nevada, absolutely amazing experience to meet indigenous people, to see how they work in terms with nature, and you know, they all grow organic coffee in very small plantations. And their life is quite isolated from the rest of the world, but still also quite modern. I mean, they don't lack anything. They don't have TV, but they're not interested in TV. You know, Quindío. One of my favorite things there was to see how cultivated the landscape was. It was more like being in a botanical garden. Large plantations with beautiful landscape, and also probably the highlights from that area was in Chinchina at Seni Cafe, to learn from the scientists how they crossbreed plants, to see the gene bank, the botanical garden they have with over 800 different Arabica trees. It was absolutely amazing. Also, El Agrado farm was extremely interesting to see how they plant coffee, how they fertilize coffee, how they prune trees, how they process coffee. We tasted coffees with farmers. That was actually also a highlight for me. My head was about to explode after those 2 days because there was so much information and my notebook was already full. And then we went to Nariño, which was a spectacular landscape, spectacular coffees, very cold climate, very different from the south of Huila where we were, which was extremely hot. In Neiva it was 30 degrees and very humid. In the mountains it was raining a lot and also very hot and humid. But in Nariño, which is not very far away, it was extremely cold climate, very high altitudes, canyons, you know, the slopes of the coffee plantation were almost 90 degrees, so also another highlight. If you haven't been to Colombia, and if you go to Colombia, don't be afraid of eating food. You get fed like there was no tomorrow here. Bandeja paisa, which is a huge dish with plátanos, beans, rice, meat, pork skin, egg. You know, food culture is very rich and very different from area to area. We went, one of the best meals I had was actually in a street cafe in Valle du Par, where we had the arepa huevo, which was a fried arepa with egg inside. Beautiful dishes, and the fruit. I never tasted better fruit in any other country than Colombia, so you have to try that when you come here. Don't be afraid of food poisoning, you know, it's okay, as long as it's fried and cooked. Cupping today, we had 3 very good coffees, 2 from Huila, 1 from Cauca, very winey, but I think the highlight of the trip in terms of coffee was number 1, the coffee from Samaniego, and Consaka. So those 2 coffees were extremely aromatic, floral, citric, like biting in a tangerine and smelling an orange blossom at the same time. The second highlight of coffee-wise was, of course, tasting Finca Tamana coffee at Don Elias that I'm going to partner up with and start farming with in Huila, to actually just take a random sample from his farm and taste that. The coffee was very fruity and very sweet and intense, just the way I like it. That's a good potential. So overall, been an exhausting trip, the most educational trip I've ever done. If you haven't been to Colombia, I highly recommend going here, because you can see harvests any time of the year. You can see flowers, red cherries, green cherries on the tree. You can see everything regardless of when you go, which you don't really find in any other countries. I would highly recommend also starting to read some of the content on the Colombian coffee website. Some of the scientists from Cafe are actually writing articles about how they breed varietals and so on. So if you haven't done that, I really recommend doing that, and sign up, because you can actually win a trip to Colombia and do exactly the same that I've done for almost 2 weeks, which has been fantastic. So I hope you like this propaganda film, Colombia.